Hello everyone, myself Ved, and today we will be solving Lead Code Weekly Contest 502, question number 2. What does this question says is, we have given three integers L, R, and K, and we have defined an integer Y is said to be a perfect kth power if there exists an integer X such that Y is equals to X to the power K. Now we have to return the number of integer Y in the range L, R, both inclusive such that they are perfect kth power. So let us try to understand this question through an example. So here we have given L equals to, let us take this example, okay. So we have given L equals to 1, R equals to 9, and K equals to 3. So now we have to find out number of Y that satisfies this condition and that those Y that are in this range, okay. So we have given range from L to R. So the range will be from 1 to 9 for this question. And let us try to write this equation. So that would be Y equals to X to the power K. And here K equals to 3. So we will replace K equals to 3. So this is the equation, okay. So now let us try to write different x and see what y we get. So let's say if x is equals to 0, okay, then y would be 0 to the power 3, that would be 1. If x is equals to 1, then y would be uh, 1 to the power 3, that would be 1. If x is equals to 2, then y would be 2 cube and that would be 8. If x equals to 3, then y would be 3 cube and that would be 27. So now we have got 2y, that is 1 and 8, okay, because 1 is in this range because both 1 and 9 are inclusive, and 8 is also in this range, okay, but 27 goes outside this range, so we cannot take this. We can take this, we can take this, okay. So we have to this 2y exists in this range, so we will output it as 2 because there are 2y that exist in this range. So that's what we want to get, like that's what we want to return it, okay. So let us try to see what conclusion we can get from this problem. So what we can do is we can use a power function, okay, because that is an inbuilt function in C++. So what this does is, if we write power from x to y, then it will try to calculate the power of x to the power y. It will try to calculate this, okay. So we will use this. How we can use this? Okay, let us try to see it. So we will use a we will define int x equals to 1. Then we will define a counter variable that will take care of number of y that exists in this range that starts from 0. Now we will use a while loop, okay? While, and inside this we will use a power function that says while power from x to k, which basically means x to the power k. That's what we want in this that's what we are told to use in this equation, okay? So x to the power k, that should be greater than this L and should be less than R. So that's what we are going to write this in this while loop. Okay, it should be greater than equals to L and power of x comma k should be less than equals to R. Okay, if both the condition satisfies, then we will increment the x, that is from 1, then we will go to 2, then 3, 4, so on and so forth. Okay, and we will increment a counter variable that will take care of the number of y that exists in this range. So once the while loop breaks, if this while loop doesn't stays true, then it will break out of this while loop, and we will return the counter variable which says the number of y that exists in this range. So this code will work for this problem, right? No, this code won't work for this problem. Let me tell you why. Because if you use power function for large variable, let's say 395602 to the power 3987213. Okay, if you use something like this, then this will give us inaccurate answer, because for this kind of number, large number, it will give us answer in the form of decimals, okay, and that would give us inaccurate answer for this question, okay. So we cannot use the power function. So what we can do next? So what we can do is we can use a while loop to calculate the power. Like instead of using the power inbuilt power function, what we can do is we can use a while loop, like for loop, to calculate the power of a function. So let me just try to write the code and explain it. How does it works? So let's say int x equals to 1, int counter equals to 0. now we will run a while loop that will run infinite times, okay? But we will also be adding a base condition. So to get out of this loop, we will write it below and then I will explain it why we are using this while loop, like infinite while loop, okay? Inside this, we will also add a variable val that starts from 1 and we will use a for loop. Let me just write it. That starts from I equals to 0, I less than k, I plus plus. Okay. And what does it does is it will calculate the power for each and every x equals to x. So let us try to dry run. Okay. Let's say if x is equals to 2, for an instance if x equals to 2 and let's say k equals to 3. So what does this does is initially val is equals to 1. So val into equals to 2. So this will give us val to be 2. After that, now val is 2. It will again multiply with 2. That will give us 4 because it will run 3 times because k is equals to 3. So it will run for 0, 1 and 2. And again one more time it will run into 2. So that now val is 4. So into 2 that would give us 8 which is easy equals to 2 to the power 3. So instead of using the power function, we use the for loop to calculate the power. Okay. So now once we have calculated the power, we will just write if this val is greater than r, which basically means it got out of this range, then we will break out of this loop. Okay. If it is inside, like if it is less than or equals to r, then we will try to check if val is greater than or equals to l, which basically means it is less than or equals to r and greater than or equals to l, which basically means it is in this range. Then we will increment the counter. And at the end, we will increment x because we want for all the x, like to check from x equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay. So this code would like run, right? No, this code like this code would also not run. Why? Let us take one example and see. Let's say if L equals to 1, R equals to 395781279 and K equals to 1. Let us try to take this problem. Okay. So what does this, like if I write this code, okay. So what does this does is it will start from x equals to 1. Okay. Now val will be calculated, like this loop will only run one time because k is equals to 1. So val into x, that would be 1. So it will try to run for this amount of time. Why? Because this large number to the power 1 give us this exact number, okay? So it will run till this much time. So there might be times where we will get time limit error because this number is itself a large number. Okay, so we have to add one more base condition. Let's say if k is equals to 1, which basically means if k is equals to 1, power is 1, which basically means y is equals to x. So we will take all the element that exist in this range because this to the power this will like give us the number itself. So we will take all the element that exist in this range. So we will write return r minus l plus 1. So this will give us all the element that exist in this range. So we will use this if statement before this while loop, okay? And then we will write the code and try to execute it. Okay, so let us try to see the code for this problem. So see, firstly I used GG, which initialized it as 0, counter variable, which is also initialized it as 0. And if k equals to 1, which basically means power is equals to 1, then we will return all the element that is inside this range. Else, we will run a while loop where is equals to 1, we will try to calculate the power for each x, which basically here it is GG. And we will see if value is greater than r, then we will break out of this while loop. Else, if it is greater than L, which basically means it is inside this range, then we will increment the counter, which says the number of y that exists in this range. And then we will increment gg, that is x, and we will return counter variable. Okay. So let us try to submit this question. So yeah, this was the solution for question 2 of LeetCode Weekly Contest 502. Thank you.